Welcome to the Footy Show. We had a bit of fun last week, but let's be honest, there are a couple of flat spots because he wasn't here and he's back. I speak of the great man, Gary Lyon.
Jim.
Very nice to have you back in the fold.
It is lovely to be back. We had a wonderful time over there. We're going to speak about it in great depth, but I've got to say I'm a little bit weary. I've been back a day now, not sure where I am, but I do know we've got a very big show because coming up we're going to cross to Paul Williams, a former Collingwood superstar, current Sydney champion who announced his retirement. I'm told through the week we're going to cross up to Sydney and have a chat with him.
Speaking of superstars, what about the former Collingwood 100-goal kicker, Brian Taylor? He is, ladies and gentlemen, going to be at the Hall of Fame chatting to a couple of the inductees, which is going to be fantastic. Some very big names there too.
There are indeed. The biggest night on the footy calendar, or one of the biggest nights certainly. Also, Shane Crawford's been out and done some street talk, some beautiful work, because I can tell you these two gentlemen have just wandered off the plane. They're a little bit flat, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a look.
If you can, just lift them up and give them a big round of applause. Trevor Marmalade and Sam Newman. Gentlemen, not long off the plane after the 30-hour flight back.
And I hope before I pass on I could become an ambassador for Qantas. What an airline that is.
What fantastic.
Fantastic airline. I know you'll think this is a paid political advertisement, but it's not. They're just a great airline.
Yep.
And we flew home and very nice service. I tell you what, they haven't got their eye in on yet. And they say it themselves. They say it themselves. Their audio-visual skills are not.
No, they're fantastic.
I tell you what they did where we were in first. That's a fantastic airline. Seriously,
Yes.
I promise you, and the service was fantastic.
Brilliant. No, it's
they
good.
had a little trouble, and they'll admit this themselves. What they did where I was when I turned left, up in the sharp end,
Pretty sure
they got some Dixie cups.
No, they don't.
And they put some string in between them, and they gave us the Dixie cups in first.
Ladies
and
and
the
gentlemen,
cabin crew in the
tell
galley
you.
sang us songs.
Let me
and we
tell you.
all listened. It was fantastic.
They were fantastic.
I said they're fantastic.
I am just telling you they were absolutely sensational.
I am confirming it is the best airline in the world.
Exactly.
And I know you think I've got to say this, but I
No,
don't.
you don't.
And
No.
the service is terrific. In zoo class,
No,
they had a little trouble. They put a man on at Singapore who did sketches. And he sketched some of the scenes out of the
Okay,
film.
enough of that. We're here and we're back, and Trev, you're back, which is very important
great
because
airline.
we didn't think you were going to get back. It's a long trip in. How are you feeling?
Oh no, absolutely
airline.
flying, Gary. I just sat in the chair 5 minutes before the show and I couldn't get up. But some things never change. We go all the way to Germany and we sit there at a football match and blow up over the umpiring. How fantastic was that? It was great. The German referee there, Helmut Goldspink, just did a fantastic job. But no, we had a great time there, and the show was fantastic. Guys, you would have loved it there, Jim. By the way,
absolutely loved
you would
it.
have had an absolute ball
Watched
over there,
every
mate.
second of it. It was fantastic.
What about the game?
Oh, hello.
It's a few, I think.
Oh, hello.
I said it was a fantastic airline.
Yes,
it is.
Beautiful airline.
Tell me about the game. Don't worry.
We went to the soccer game at that stadium, whatever it was, in München.
In Munich,
And it was sensational. It was. But I tell you what, Jim,
Yes?
you weren't there, were you?
No. Wasn't there. This joke gets funny.
I tell you what ruined it. Systematically, unashamed and unabashed cheating by the referee. I'm telling you, no, I'm serious. Harry Kuehl, I'd like to congratulate for telling that man exactly what he was. He was on an agenda from a corrupt organisation.
From a corrupt. We don't know that for a fact. We don't know that for a
Am I
fact.
going to actually be able to say anything
Yeah,
tonight?
well, I'm just clearing
I'm telling you. I tell you why the organisation's corrupt, because they did not do anything to reprimand that man, and Harry Kuehl was absolutely right. It was a disgraceful agenda that man was on, and he didn't have to be, because Brazil are a better side. But if you nobble the way a side plays by a systematic and determined and blatant attempt to actually rig an event, then you are in trouble. You talk about the world game, it was the world shame, Gary. And if I had been Mark Viduka, and I'm not criticising him at all for this, if he'd had the guts, he should have taken his side off the field. It was a disgrace.
Jim?
And every single person there, and all the captains of industry and sport that we saw there, agreed wholeheartedly.
I sat next to the great
It
man in
was-
front of 66,000 people in an atmosphere that was as good, no, better than any I've ever experienced in my life. I sat next to Sam. I thought I was in the Triple M box
Oh,
at the
no.
MCG, mate. He just went on and I know the umpiring wasn't great. It wasn't
the
great.
refereeing was, there was an agenda, Gary.
Well, they may
it
have,
was
we
that
don't
they
know that.
wanted Brazil to stay there no matter what, and they didn't have to because they're a fantastic
it might
side.
have appeared
It
like
was the most disgracefully biased and blatant attempt
Sam.
at cheating a side I've ever seen.
Moving away from the
And
game.
congratulations to Harry Kuehl for having the guts to tell him exactly what he was, and that was he's a prick.
Moving away.
The good news, boys, is that I think it is good news. We've got an English referee tonight. Everyone's saying that's good because the Pomps love to see us win at sport, don't they?
We've actually found a way to get Sam away from being negative about football, Gary.
No, that was a great game. I was just saying the umpiring was shot.
I'll tell you what, it's a surreal moment at the game. We did the show, and hopefully you people watched it, but we had Colin Hay sing Down, what's it called?
Down Under.
Down Under. It was great.
Yeah.
And on the show...
What's it called?
Obviously memorable for you.
Well, I'm not a big music person, but on the show, all the crowd sang. It was fantastic. He went with us out to the game. We sat down
He
66,000.
said the bloke cheated.
All right. Before the game, an hour before, the atmosphere, everyone was screaming, jumping, they were playing AC/DC songs, and all of a sudden his song came on. And I looked at Colin Hay, who was just standing there, and he was, it was unbelievable.
It was
He
a magical
very
moment.
Sing along, don't you know the words, buddy? Come on.
It was a magical moment. It
And
was fantastic.
National anthem beforehand. I'm not-
Gary, I've never seen you so taken with an event.
No.
Normally you're a pretty cynical
I am.
arrangement. What are you doing?
I don't get that carried away, but I was truly, I'm not joking, emotional before the game.
So
It
was I, Gary.
I
And during
know
it,
you were.
I got angry.
You did?
What about the food over there, Sam?
I tell you what, they are obsessed with pork over there. No, seriously, every bloody thing's got pork. This, now you tell me, you were there, you tell me if this is true. On the menu it had pork fillets with a vinaigrette-infused crispy bacon with a side dish of drizzled crackling with some pork gravy, and then we had pork brulee to finish off with, and the sweets. Now, we couldn't work out why the sweets ran out.
No.
I just want you to see if you can tell me.
He stole this menu from the restaurant.
I did.
This is absolutely
This is the menu here. This is the menu here. This is the
100%
menu here. You had Wiener Schnitzel and mit the vanilla sauce.
If we can get a shot of the front, because
I'm
it is
getting
German.
the front, you
No,
moron.
the actual writing, because this is genuine.
This
I don't
is
want
a
people
no,
to
this
think
is
it's
not made up.
No.
If we has the technical, so just man,
is
can we
good.
see that?
Yes.
Now I want you to get a close up, more close. Right. Now, we couldn't work out why the sweets ran out. There was not one sweet to be taken. Could anyone actually tell us? Could anyone actually tell us why the sweets ran out? There was not one sweet to be had in the whole joint. It was amazing. That's the only thing. They had pork ice cream, they had pork brulee, they had pork, vanilla pork, they had everything.
I don't want to talk over the top of you. That is a profiterole, chocolate profiterole, so that hasn't been mocked up, that is legitimate.
What, you think I've mocked that
I
up, do
just
you?
am
You
making-
think I would actually mock that up? That was the man. We got in, I said, my God. I said, I want some sweets. She said, they're sold out. She said, they are sold out, everyone's had them. I said, I wouldn't wonder. They pinch more menus than they sell sweets.
And they don't waste any of the pig. We went to a Bavarian restaurant and there was pork diaphragm with slices of tongue, belly and lung. I'll tell you what, it's hard to stop at just the one lung.
It was amazing.
All right.
And you grapple with the language, Trev. The great man grappled with the German language.
Oh, he does. He loves it. He likes to get amongst the people there and really be part. We got dropped off at the. We had a young girl called Sarah who was driving us around.
very nice
Sarah
girl.
Schumacher, I think her name was. She was good. And we get to the airport. She had dropped us off to go home. And we see her going, thank you very much, Sarah. And she says to Sam, she says, bye. And Sam goes, what? She said, bye. He said, what do you mean by that? She went, Well, you think she was calling you a bisexual or something?
I tell you what.
I thought you were about to start throwing punches again.
I tell you what, I just escaped with my life, and that was about easy to get into trouble there, Gary. When no one can understand what you're talking about, you can get into trouble.
One more before we bring the panel out. I just got to say, he injured himself, our very fine friend, and did a very bad hamstring. And we're at the game. Very important to put some compression bandage on your leg.
Oh,
and at half time, he had to go and reapply his bandage.
Into the latrine, Samuel.
Thank you, Gary. I'm sitting. I'll get put off here.
No, you won't. This is true.
This, of course, is true. It's
Right.
all true.
I know.
The umpire was a cheat. Qantas was
The last hit
fantastic.
we want, yes.
So I've gotten down to my jocks. I'm sitting on the seat in the toilet there, the public toilet, and I'm wrapping this compression bandage, and there's a bit of tape that you wrap around it, and it dropped and rolled under the into the cubicle next door. So I'm going, excuse me, hello, and nothing, because you know if someone's shouting from the next cubicle and you couldn't understand them, would you answer? So I walk out in my jocks. Just as the bloke had finished in there, and he walked out and he saw me in my jocks, and he almost shit himself. If he hadn't already while he was in there. And I said, I'm not trying to do anything. He thought I was actually going to have a crack at him, and the men's done. So that was about as well as I got. And then we walked in and saw the greatest blatant cheating by a person
Samuel,
I've
please.
ever seen.
Trev, we've loved your company on the bench, but the fans are screaming for you to get behind the bar. So get your way over there. Now, look, before we get the panel out, we have got a very serious piece of football news, Gary, just to attend to here, and that relates to Jason Ackermanis. Now, we can tell you that Athletes One, which is Jason's management, can confirm that they have received approaches from several Victorian-based AFL clubs. Sam, you need to listen to this.
Well,
it's
of course I'm
important
listening.
to discuss his playing future. They have opened discussions on things like contracts and potential amounts that he may want. We at the Footy Show believe those clubs to include Richmond, Essendon, Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs, Gary.
So you think that whilst we've been away that Jason, I understand he had a bit of email trouble, and you think that he's definitely going and those four clubs have spoken to his
what
name?
I'm saying is that these are clubs that have sounded him out about perhaps wanting to move south, Gary, and we understand that they are the four, so there's some news on Acker.
What about the panel? Have we got a big panel lined up or not? Because we're both about to fall asleep.
We have got a massive panel. After one of, ladies and gentlemen, the great television junkets in history, this man returns to our shores, former goal-kicking superstar from Corio Bay, who took nuding up to a place where you felt like you'd taken a wrong step at your grandma's house. I want you to put your hands together for the great man himself, Billy Brownless. Back from Germany. Very nicely done. William, a big part of tonight's show, as is this man. We've got a massive game coming at us on Saturday night up in Sydney between the Pies and the Swans. This man not involved, sadly, because he has Achilles trouble, but the phone, Gary, runs hot every time he is involved in the Footy Show. Ladies and gentlemen, the superstar from the Lexus Centre, Brodie Holland, joins us on the Footy Show. And this man's been very busy with the boys away in Germany. He's got the street talk done. More importantly, his beloved Hawks have had a win down at Launceston. A Footy Show favourite, Shane Crawford, joins us tonight. The Brownlow medalist. Gary, not quite now, Gaz.
Not quite the night to be pulling that off, Shane, I wouldn't have thought. He's just not in the most
It's water.
accommodating mood.
Welcome back.
I don't get
Welcome
us.
back. He can't chase me there.
He can't chase you
catch
because
me
he's got a
tonight.
very badly torn hamstring, but nice to see you on, boys. Just take a deep breath, Bill.
Yes,
Back
Gaz.
in one piece, and have I enjoyed spending 10 days with you?
Oh, it's been great to spend time with you, Gaz. We're just like bosom buddies when we go away together, and I just ask you where we're going and what's happening, and just a couple of apologies off the top to Qantas and FIFA too. What about him? Can you believe that?
No, not Qantas. Qantas are magnificent, but
Very good trip, Gaz.
yeah, it was a great trip.
I am
Yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
Qantas was
Yes,
fantastic.
that's right.
I'm just...
Gary,
was fantastic.
You
Just had a
captained,
little trouble with the sound, that's all.
you captained Melbourne, you captained Victoria, I think 500 times collectively. Can you take control of some of these people ever when they come on?
No, well, Shane's out of. I can handle Bill. I've handled him for a while, and it's hard, Trevor. Let's be honest.
Well, look, they've promoted it tonight as one of the best-looking panels ever. There you got Shane and Brodie, who always look chiselled, and Billy, who's always hammered.
Now, Samuel, we cannot let this show go any further without referring to an incident while you're over there.
Brulee?
No, I don't. But we do need to just talk to you because we had a look at it Sunday night, but we didn't go into it in any depth. And that is, of course, when you just headed out into the nightlife over there in Germany. And well, this is what we saw. Let's just take a bit of a look.
Play it again, are we?
Just in you go.
Now, this is the samba party that we were invited to, and we were warmly received there for a little while, and then there's a small problem that ensued as a result of some unruly behaviour. Now, should be said that everything was going beautifully right up to that point. We were made most welcome, but you can't account for all sorts of behaviour, and it wasn't all that comfortable, Trev, in the end.
Well, you know, what's so unusual about that for Sam? An exchange of bodily fluids, punches thrown, story of his life, really. You have to say, but but by the time we woke up in the morning, the story had got back saying, he'd walked in there and King hit some bloke. I think if you look at that, it's more like a Queen hit.
Well, Gary, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute because you were disgraceful in this particular instance. But
I was?
Yes, you were. But before we do that, it did have a familiar look about it, this punch, Samuel. We've got to say, we'd seen something like it in the past. We're going to just take a bit of a look at Billy Barrett here. And, bit of an open hand with it. Now, Gary.
Yes.
Where were you when our this man here leads the charge for us and heads into places that are dangerous? And where were you when he needed a hand?
I was close by, but I had my back to Sammy. Everything, as I said, was going along nicely. But
That ill-bred
yes,
piece of crud
yes.
said to someone that he did that because I'd jumped on the bandwagon and was wearing a Socceroos strip and I was wearing this. If that is, mind you, the way they were playing, that is what I was wearing.
Yes, he did say that you'd gone in there like you were an Aussie supporter and jumped all over.
Oh, yeah, well, I'd gone in like an Aussie, but I was actually an Australian, unlike him, who was an import.
No, well, I don't know that, but I tell you, Jim, I was there, I was holding back.
I tell you what, if that goes on for the rest of the night...
a little slap. I was there.
Yeah, that's funny,
nothing to be scared of.
Oh, yeah, this is funny, mate. I'm feeling I've seen better punches thrown than the Thunderbirds.
I got rabies. I've had a distemper shot. I've been fair income. I mean, that could be.
It was a slap. That's all it was.
I'll tell you, I'm in the mood for it. I'm just just getting my eye in.
Brodie said he's going to take you out the back and show you how to throw a proper punch.
Anyway, you're most welcome to come to our Lexus Centre and we'll put you in the ring and show you how it's done, mate.
He's been in plenty of rings, don't he?
How'd you like me to have Ed inserted up you?
Anyway, moving on. It did get a little bit tense at something, but lucky I was holding about 25 of them back at one stage, and I
must say
feared for my life. And then guess who came to mind? He was not one step away from me for the whole trip, just dagging around, annoying the crap out of me. And when it looked like I might have got the shit punch out of me, where do you reckon Bill was?
I had a look and they were big boys all around. But I was doing some of my best work with a couple of Fräuleins who'd seen me run through the park in the mood. And they just wandered over and I thought, oh yeah. And then I was a bit of a fracker over there, I let it go.
We're going to have a look at stupid Bill running through the park, but just in case Bill Barrett's watching, I'm sorry, Bill, every time that comes up I'm embarrassed. We did speak to Tony Vidmar.
Yes, we did.
And we asked him, well, I think I asked him, I think at that stage I'd asked him that, when did he think Australia might host, get the games, get the World Cup? Did he think there was a realistic possibility? And this is this is what he said. What realistic chance do Australia have of ever holding the World Cup?
Well, I think at the moment Australia is, we're new at this game, and it's just shown now. This is the first step of many World Cup campaigns to come ahead, and who knows? Further down the track, maybe 50 years, we could be there.
50. So? Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. Just put it over the microphone. Well, 2056, Gary. Let's get excited. Let's get excited. And I wonder if Ticket Tech are taking some advanced bookings. Give us half a dozen tickets, will you? So there'll be 150, I'll be.
Yeah, no, he did say we'd get it, but for just the 50 years, not 8 or 12
No,
or 16.
not 8, yeah.
No.
I thought 50. Where'd you get that from? So we're getting excited. We've
Well,
got 50 years to really crank up.
You got them printed?
Yeah,
Trev.
Well, it's been a massive week in Australian sport, hasn't it? We've seen Jeff Ogilvy,
Yes.
win the golf, and I know the Premier agrees with me. Here he is in action.
Well done. I mean, this is almost the pinnacle of your career to win a US Open, and congratulations to Peter Ogilvy, a great Victorian. Jeff Ogilvy. Congratulations, Jeff Ogilvy. When Cool came on, Harry Cool, I thought, the keeper was out. He had a clear run to goal.
And so there he was, our Premier, Steve Briggs.
Yeah, we just got to touch on this. If the punch was one of the most talked about things from the show, everyone I spoke to wanted to talk about our great friend over here, Billy Brownless. There's a park in Munich in the middle. It's like a bit like the Botanical Gardens, truly. It's just a public park where people go with their kids and they wander through, and then there's a section where there are nudists that are allowed to go and just lay out in the sun. There was probably 200 or 300 people, 298 men, 2 women, and then our good friend Bill decided that he was going to get into the action. And if you missed it, this was him just doing his best work.
What have you got on your legs, Bill? What? Bill? What was on your legs?
That's a German tradition. When you go nude, there's some calf warmers or something. But I'm sorry to the people at home, fair dinkum. I'm sick of seeing that and my big body. So it makes people sick, that. So no more. The queue is in the rack.
You were bemused by it, Gary, obviously.
You reckon that would make people sick? You ought to have seen the build-up to him actually getting nude, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to talk you through it, but he psyched himself up.
He tried to fashion the thing into something respectable, didn't he? You told me he sat in a van and
I did not say it, mate.
He's not allowed to say anything tonight.
No, what I can...
Gary,
yes.
We heard back here half an hour he was at it.
No, he gave it, it's fair to say he gave himself a talking to, and this is what I mean.
Right. Come on.
Gary.
My mum and mother-in-law are all sorry mum and sorry Jan. That was between us.
Yeah, and at least you had some prior notice when this silly little prick did it to me. I didn't even have an opportunity to fashion into anything reasonable, Gary.
I've never laughed. In fact, I was...
What about the black dot? How small it was?
Megan, who works upstairs, said she's been doing pixelations, I think they're called, for the last 13 years at Channel 9. The biggest pixelation she's ever done. The biggest she's ever done.
Right.
Semi-covered though.
It was the biggest pixelation, but that was to do his ass. You screen a drive-in movie on that, Bill.
Do you think we can go back to the first shot and have a look how big that black dot is?
No, I'm sick of it. No more. No.
We're just...
Oh, there it is. Get it off.
That's like half your stomach.
Bill,
no more.
No more, Bill. No more.
It looks like you don't have any testicles.
Shut up. The people don't like that.
What did you tuck him up?
Shut up! Sam Bill, he is a dickhead.
Really?
I'm with you.
Well, don't state the bleeding obvious.
Well, Bill, it wasn't just
Righto, move on, please. Come on.
It wasn't just over in Germany that they got the attention. It was also back here in the local newspaper. It had that you'd just managed to make the What's Not Hot list. There we go. Billy Brownless.
Broadcasting nude through Germany, our eyes. You were the lowest of the What's Not Hot, Bill, in the Herald Sun today, so you finally made it.
At least I got there.
No, it's true.
At least if you're any sort of a mate, you'd come nude with me.
Why didn't you go nude? Why weren't you nude?
I had to sit across the other side with a towel and wait for him.
You know why? I didn't want to see this big, hairy, back squealing pig coming through with these big, bushy eyebrows going, wee! Big, hairy monster!
In all fairness, Bill, I think a couple of people saw him nude on the trip.
Now, Sam, we're getting somewhere.
I think a couple of people. Pardon?
Why didn't you do that?
What do what?
Run nude.
Well, I'd actually done a hamstring by then, Shane, or haven't you been listening to this whole evening so far?
Let's move
Gary,
on.
go to the
I
break.
think we have officially lost track of
We
where
have
we're at. But
indeed.
we're going to a break. On the other side of it, we're going to speak to a Sydney Swans legend who this week announced that this is his last year in football. Stay with us on The Footy Show.